Somebody do every Wednesday, 3 p.m. 5 p.m. Wednesday. It's busy, people. I got to, with my co-host, Patricia Castillo, feeling better after being out sick. Hey, say hi, Patricia.
Yes, I'm glad to be back after a bout of COVID. So I'm glad to be back here and getting back into the game again.
And with all kinds of technical funny things on his screen, Gustavo Segura, Sendero Home Loans. How you doing?
Yeah.
Glad to have you guys. Patricia was sick. Gustavo was gone. I'm here. I caused this to be late because I just got a deal in escrow of $1.498 million. And so on one side, the buyer side, that's great news. On the selling side, I got a phone call on my listings, a guy putting an offer together. I have a probate sale going to court with people coming in to overbid. So in my world, there's a lot of activity. So we had rates that went down and then went back up again.
Mm-hmm. Slightly.
Whoa, what the heck's going on in real estate? Patricia, what's going on?
Yeah, just slightly. I mean, I think today we're at 6.45 was it? And yesterday we were at like 6.42. Mm-hmm. So not a huge jump, but it's still a slight jump, but I think it's still well in the world of decent rates where you can still navigate through this process and still get a 2-1 buy down, with a property that maybe a buyer would be interested in. So that's widely popular right now. And what Gustavo and I were just talking about was, when you're doing a soft pull, so you're not having your credit fully pulled, that's on a hard pull where it affects your credit score. But even doing a soft pull, we can see more or less what you would qualify for. And before, a soft pull would just consist of one credit agency. Now, recently, they've added the other two. So now Gustavo can do a soft pull with all 3 credit bureaus and get a pretty accurate estimate on what a buyer would qualify for. So we just actually got through with qualifying one of my clients. And with the first soft pull, she was qualified at 480 after looking at all 3 bureaus. And this is still not a hard pull. This is still the soft pull. So looking at all 3 bureaus, it went up like 40,000, right? So now it's over 500 that we're looking at for a purchase price. So the purchasing power does go up. It does make a big difference when you're looking at the full picture and, the 3 different bureaus. So that's why it's so important to have a good credit score.
Yeah, definitely. And along with that credit score is that your credit profile or how healthy that is. So long-standing credit cards, you have a 10-year credit history versus a 2-year credit history. All those things matter. They have more payment transactions to be able to get your score and to rank you and all that. So, the soft pulls that I do, I used to just do 1, but now I've incorporated being able to do all 3 of them, which gives me a lot more information. And when I have more information, we're allowed to do our process a lot better. And of course, this comes from people not wanting us to pull their credit. And if I can't pull their credit, I'm not going to be able to provide them with a very good pre-approval. It's going to be very much a guessing game. I don't know how much that car payment could be. They could say 600, in reality it's 675. Right. So that's why I like to do that. There's student loan debt that's out there that they're like, well, no, that's at 0 payments. I don't have to pay anything. It's like, well, yes, I need to account for something because those are the guidelines. Yes, you're not paying anything right now, but eventually you are. So part of the guidelines is I need to include that. So all these things that come up that we don't want the borrower to just assume and just give us information, because if not, that becomes more of a pre-qualified. It's just less strict and less qualified process. Pre-approved, we looked at your credit. We have income documentation, tax, it may be taxes or it may be W-2 or check stubs. So now we can actually tell you, yes, it's going to be a little bit higher of a purchase amount that we can qualify you for.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, right now, I know a lot of listing agents, so like last year, because a lot of buyers are just getting, loan approvals and they didn't really actually qualify. Because that happened to one of my listings in Downey, where I had a buyer send in an offer over asking, and their agent said, yeah, they're well qualified, and then I ran that one through you, right, to cross qualify them, and it turned out that they didn't qualify to buy the home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's so important to make sure that you do qualify when you're making offers, and especially when you see the home that you really want.
Yeah.
It's so important to be well qualified, and just to have that knowledge up front before you go out and start shopping for homes.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the first step is understanding how much you can afford, right? That way, Patricia, how much they can afford, what their finances are, how much down payment, everything, right? So I think a lot of people naturally, I think we all do this, is we want to go to the fun part, which is let's go look at homes.
That's the fun part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go home shopping.
Yeah, exactly.
Shopping.
Yeah. But if we don't know, what your payment is going to be, what you qualify for, we're just going to be driving around out there. So definitely, I keep stressing this at open houses and to different people. Just make sure that, my niece is starting this process. And that was the first thing I told her, because she came back and she's like, I saw this condo. And I was like, do you know if you can afford it? And she's like, I think so.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we got to go through the numbers, because you might have just wasted your time,
Do you know if you can afford this $800,000 contract you're signing with somebody?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so interesting, because the experience I had before we started tonight was, I have an offer accepted with an investor who buys properties, fixes them, and resells them. And she bought a property previously, and she told me that she was going to buy all cash. And then she said, well, I have this hard money lender. And then she wanted conventional financing. I said, it doesn't work that way. If you can get conventional financing, you got to plan ahead. But you can't just 10 days for a close of escrow. And in fact, she almost lost the property because the hard money lender couldn't perform. The conventional lender didn't have all the paperwork. He promised her, some guy she met promised her he could do everything in 7 days. And that was like 2 months ago. I don't know. Yeah. And, I think I'm pretty good at defending my buyer's rights and the paperwork and negotiating and developing a relationship with the other agent. And fortunately, we're able to work it through, and it looks like we're going to be closing here in the next week. But, it could be very scary. You could risk losing your deposit money if you're not prepared ahead of time. There's no reason to be afraid if you follow the rules. But if you don't follow the rules, then you're really just rolling the dice. And I wouldn't just trust somebody who tells me I can get it done. I want to work with somebody who works with somebody that I know, i.e., our favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, definitely. And I was just sharing with Bill too, how we just opened up escrow on the 31st, on the first year. And here we are.
With my good friend Jill.
Yes. And here we are 7 days later, and we got the loan is already approved, minor conditions. All we need is just 2-3 things.
All right.
And it's gonna get, we still got until March 1st, but knock on wood, everything should be moving along. And
it's great to be bored waiting for escrow to close with everything done, right? It beats the alternative.
Yes.
It beats the, am I going to lose a deposit? Am I going to get gray hair worrying about it?
Yeah.
That's what, see, Patricia doesn't have any gray hair because she works with Gustavo exclusively. I let my buyers work with somebody else. That's why I have the gray hair.
It's the investment side, the non-QM side.
Woo.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, definitely being able to have those conversations, so that also too, the reason we're able to get all that approval done quickly is because I've got the documents, I've got all the information already up ahead, so that when the contract comes in, it's boom, just take it and submit it. And then here we are, 48 hours, the loan comes out. So it's being able to just be ready and run with it. So.
Yeah. And I've also seen that, multiple offers are coming back. And, before maybe we were getting like 15, 20 offers or more on a property. And now we're seeing that people are still starting to overbid, so it just depends. There's some areas of, LA County that are still considered hot markets, and those areas are still very desirable for buyers. So and especially because there's lower inventory right now. So when a home goes on the market, it has everybody's eyes on it. And so it's like the new property that just hit the market, and the open houses are pretty full, and on the listing I have right now in Huntington Park, I had 7 offers in the first few days.
Wow.
So Yeah. So, and it's over, we're already at over asking, but,
Yeah.
it's heating up. I mean, we're not even in the springtime yet, and the market's already heating up. So it's, just a good time right now. If anybody's thinking of getting the process started, to definitely get started, because you don't want to wait until the rest of the competition starts coming on board to purchase a home. They're ready, you're not, and they're going to have the advantage over you.
Yeah.
Hey, while we're here, if you get an invitation, you're welcome to come into the live stream and chat with us live, put questions in live. If you're watching on the live streams, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, feel free to ask questions there. We watch the chat box there as well. We either catch it live, or if it's afterwards, if you're watching the recording, we'll circle back and answer your questions then, either me or Patricia or Gustavo. So feel free to participate. If you want to participate, if you have live questions, come on in sometime. This is meant to be kind of let's hang out and work together and figure out what to do. So there you go.
Yeah.
What else is new? Gustavo, what's new on your horizon?
Well, I think, we had that little bump up in rates, right? The job market report came out, it was really strong. The unemployment rate went down to 3.4, which is why rates kind of came up a little bit. But next week, we're going to have the CPI numbers, which are the inflation numbers. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be in a positive side for the mortgage industry. So that means that rates should come down. So I'm expecting between here and next Monday or Tuesday to see the rates come down if that inflation report comes out to be very positive for us. So that's what I'm keeping an eye out, so that if anybody's out there with a rate that's not locked, then they can lock it after that. Got it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds exciting. So it'll be exciting times, as if we don't have enough excitement already with the mortgage rates the last few weeks, and just economy in general. Watching stock market zip up, zip down. We have another week of more excitement promised next week.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have a new NBA all-time scoring leader. Let's not forget about that.
That's right. Yeah.
As a guy who saw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play college basketball and pro basketball, I'm not as excited as you guys are about that. Let's just leave it at that. I'm just not as excited. And rooted against that same guy when he was with Milwaukee Bucks against the Lakers, but then came to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Anyhow, just not mixed feelings there. Not really. So that's not as excited as you guys are about it. But
it's just always good to celebrate, right? I guess. But there are differences. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I don't mean, and I saw LeBron's first professional game, which was not as a Cavalier, but after he signed his contract, there was an all-star game at the brand new Staples Center at the time, now Crypto, between the incoming NBA rookies and the prior year rookies, incoming second-year players in the NBA, at the Staples Center. And my friend at the time worked for Staples, and he'd won a sales contest, was in the corporate box. So I was in the Staples corporate box at the Staples Center at the 50-yard line or whatever, half court, watching. At the time, I will say this about LeBron. He is one of only two people, I think, in history who came in with a lot of hype, who lived up to every bit of the hype. To his credit, when he came, I don't know if you even know this, you guys are so young. When he came out of high school, it was like the next big thing, and he was on Sports Illustrated cover, and they kind of projected him to be the next Michael Jordan. And he's different than Michael Jordan, and you could argue if he's better or worse. You have to certainly say he's in that discussion of the greatest of all time. And he was hyped that way, and he has not ever fallen from that standard. It is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last 40 years. I mean, he's held it up.
Really unbelievable. I think, like people say, well, Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. He didn't start that way. He didn't come out of college he wasn't even in college that way. He didn't come out of college that way. He didn't start in the NFL that way. Most great players really kind of come out of left field, so to speak. Babe Ruth famously started as a pitcher, got moved to be a hitter. Mm-hmm. Wasn't Babe Ruth until he was a hitter full time. So, but LeBron from day one was picked to be one of the best players. And I remember as a rookie, he was a man playing with boys as a rookie in the NBA. It was really something to see. So to his credit, he may not be I might disagree with him. He's not the greatest of all time, but he is certainly in the discussion as one of the greatest ever, and under the circumstances. Yeah. Kind of like me, like just a long history of Okay, what else? Anything else you guys want to wrap up with?
Well, I think, we had a pretty good conversation today, but I think, Gustavo, I wanted to mention if somebody's applying for, let's say, a review of their credit and their income, and let's say, like in this case, what we were talking about earlier, somebody was approved at 420, then it got bumped up to, 480, then it got bumped up to 520. So don't get discouraged. If you think you've had credit challenges in the past, don't let that discourage you. If you think you might have, too much debt right now, or you think I might not make enough money, let's just take a look. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. And it just takes, maybe an hour at most to really dig in and look at your situation, ask a few questions, and, figure out what your goals are, what you're looking to do. Is this going to be your forever home? Is it going to be a home for 5 or 10 years? Because that can also affect how, we would apply any seller credits we get for you and things like that. So if you're just thinking about buying a home, just talk to us and let us guide you through that process.
Yeah, no, that's very much true. We are part of their team and we're looking out for their interests. You just reminded me of a conversation that I had with another potential buyer, second home, but they were going to be very close to where they live right now. And I said, well, they're going to look at that as an investment. So then I had to say, why are you really looking for that house? And we dug in and he's like, well, I actually have 3 kids and we have a 2-bedroom right now. And I'm taking care of my mother-in-law as well. She recently came down with some health issues and she's now living with us full time. So now we're really packed in here. And I said, perfect. Let me work with that. I'll talk to the lenders. Now that other home can be your primary. And then we can rent this one out. I said, and I told him, I go, it's good to tell us everything because we're on your side and we will need to know the story so that we can make sure we go out and get you the best loan possible. So
the more we know, the better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I have a scenario for you since I have you on the phone, since I have you on the call here, Gustavo. So my client buys a house and is going to close escrow on it. And the plan there is she buys a primary residence. Next property she buys, she can't use it as primary residence. Her plan is to fix and flip it. So you really can't, just make sure I'm clear. I said to her, there's no way you can't do the next loan as primary residence because you're going to apply for the loan. Even if you say you're going to rent out the one you just bought, they're going to say, well, you just applied for a 95% loan, owner occupied. You, by definition, made that commitment. We can't help you there. Is that true? Or am I?
Yeah. And you got to go back and live in that. And then depending on the type of loan, she's got to be in there for a certain period of time.
Right.
And then after that, they can just move on. Right. And of course, if you're on month 6 and you're like, you found another perfect house, no one's going to be checking on you. But, you want to give them the right information and say, look, this is the primary. You're supposed to take it as primary within 60 days. You're supposed to live in it for that much. And then from there, you can go on if their life changes. Right.
Right.
So, there are some guidelines to follow.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So we just make up our own rules and convince the lender, hey, I'm going to live in both houses at the same time. Oh, wow. That makes sense. I'll go along with that.
Yeah, exactly. They've seen a lot of tricks over the last 50, 60, 70 years.
Exactly.
So they know as well. Yeah.
I've seen a thing or two. I'm like that commercial. Okay, good. Okay. Well, look, I think that wraps up for today. Patricia, if somebody want to get a hold of you to talk more about buying a house in the 562 or anywhere else in California, how do they get a hold of you?
So my cell number is the best way, 323-365-9909.
Very nice. And obviously you can connect him to our team member, Gustavo. But Gustavo, if somebody wanted to talk to you about buying a house, getting pre-approved or whatever, how they get hold of you?
Yeah, 714-334-4563, call or text.
And I'm Bill Gross. I'm on social media at Bill Gross EXP. Patricia's on my team. So if you want to get a hold of me, go through her and she'll put us together. Really appreciate Patricia. Welcome back. We missed you.
I miss you guys too.
I miss you a lot. Gustavo said he did. He asked, do we have anybody else who can replace you with? I said, no. Patricia's one of a kind. We're not going to replace her. Just letting you know who your friends are. Okay.
Yeah. He had posted the job description already. I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that in ZipRecruiter. I thought that was in really poor taste.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Okay, guys, have a great week. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.